What's up, everyone? Welcome to You'll Never Talk Alone. I'm still not over it, actually. I'm still not over that victory. I'm struggling for, I'm fighting for air. I'm gasping over here to try to catch my breath. Still trying to get over another heart-pounding, breathtaking 2-1 victory. Late victory over Tottenham. Whew!
Ooh.
What an exciting one. I'm your friend Joseph Craven. Alex Level is with me tonight. Alex, take over for a while. I need a moment.
I mean, I'm still shaking. I don't really know what to do with my hands. This has been just a wild few days. I'm still not over it. It's madness. I don't even know how it happened. I can't believe that it happened. And
I don't even know if it did happen. I had to get online today just to check. I was like, fact check. Google, did that happen?
I've watched 2 Liverpool games ever at my girlfriend's grandmother's house with her family. And one was the Merseyside derby where Origi scored the winner in the last minute.
Yeah.
And the other one was this one. So I know they've been polite, but I'm pretty sure they think I'm an insane person because I just went nuts as soon as that goal went in.
Oh my gosh. I was working this weekend. I do, for those of you listening, I do production work for a living. I was doing lighting for a gig this weekend. So I was watching the first half of the match, then had to drive to work and catch the end of it. And like as I was driving to work was when Tottenham scored. So I get all the text messages from, you guys in the group going, oh, well, roof. And I'm like, uh-oh, okay. I was like, it happened, whatever. I get to work, and the first thing I do before I turn on any of the equipment was pull up the stream of the game. I was like, this is more important than my job right now.
Yeah.
Much more important. So I pulled that up and then got to see when that goal went in. I was just like in the control booth, just fist bumping. As everyone else is setting up and checking all the, I'm like, so it was great. I'm also going to share this quick story before we go on. That evening, I got a text message from a friend of mine who lives out on the West Coast and is a United fan. And he said, he's like, look, I can't even lie. To win that way in that manner and that dramatically, it kind of made me happy for you guys. That was you could tell that was a satisfying, goal, a satisfying effort, all that. I was like, yeah, for sure. Right there with you. And he's like, I can't, even though I don't cheer for him, it was hard to not. I said, yeah, that's fine. I was like, and it was good being able to get, such a positive result from, the third best team in the league is how I worded it. And he goes, third best might be stretching it. So I sent him a screenshot of the table where at the time Tottenham was third, United was in fourth. And I went, I don't know, man. Sure looks like a 3 to me. And he's like, well, hey, dude, I was just trying to be nice. You don't have to be so mean to me. I was like, you're the one who said it, man. And so then, of course, today happened.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Which was weirdly satisfying. I asked 2 different friends of mine that are United fans how they felt about the hiring of the manager. And they were both like, that's what got me in trouble with the friend who told me, hey, man, I was trying to be nice. I asked him about the manager and, the hiring. And I said, well, I think they made a mistake because you don't ever want to remove that interim tag too early.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport it is. If you've got an interim coach, an interim manager, they're going to do damage control. They're probably going to do damage control pretty well. And then it's going to be tempting to remove that interim tag, but you shouldn't do it because the moment you do, they're no longer in damage control mode anymore. They're this is my team mode. This is my team mode, and everything goes wrong. So,
or in Solskjaer's case, this is Man United because I think that's the only thing he knows how to say.
Right.
Every interview, every question, it's like, well, how did you feel about that game today? This is Man United, so we what would you like to eat tonight? Well, this is Man United, so I'll take a.
Exactly. Strange man. Anyway, this is a Liverpool podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So we're back on top. at least for now. Back on top of the league, winning the games we're supposed to. Whew. All right. So obviously, yeah, we're still shaking. We're still just like half nervous, half heart attack, half thrilled with the way that it turned out. Getting that victory. Talk a little bit about that, Alex. What were your thoughts about the match itself, how the team performed? Not just, obviously, we talked about our emotions. Let's forget emotions now. How about that team, their performance? What did you think of that?
Well, I thought in the first half, we were clearly the dominant team in the game. We had all the chances. We scored a beautiful goal. And that ball from Andy was perfect. The header from Bobby was perfect. It looked, weirdly enough, like a Pez goal. Like exactly like a Pro Evo goal. So, I mean, kudos to the team for being sponsored by that game. But I mean, we were all over them in the first half. They couldn't really create anything. The second half,
was Bobby wearing like a motion capture suit for Pez when he did that? I think
so.
Been, yeah,
or that might have just been the reflection of his teeth showing up in other areas of his body. But yeah, then the second half we came out and it was okay for maybe like 5-10 minutes, and then we just like disappeared from the middle third of the field, and they got all sorts of chances, and they got their goal. I mean, their goal was a carbon copy of the goal we conceded at Bayern. I thought that was really weird. It was like the exact same, except Andy didn't get beat one-on-one. They just played it over his head. So maybe we should work on that in training to just watch out for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That seems pretty logical, so we're going to see it for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but then, I mean, Spurs had plenty of chances to win this game. And if not for Virgil van Dijk and Andy and Allison, they could have won it. But then by staying in it, making some big changes, kind of throwing caution to the wind and throwing everyone forward, we were able to put them under enough pressure to force an error from a keeper that used to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great and weird for Mo not to get the goal, but to get all the benefits of scoring confidence-wise. Like you could tell he was feeling it, was feeling so much better afterwards. So I love it.
Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily the greatest goal in the world. I think my response was, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It went in, and I instantly was just like, I'll take it.
Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
That is the greatest goal in the world as far as I'm concerned, because it got us those 3 points.
Because it got us 3 points.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not the greatest looking goal. Yeah. That's really what I would say. But no, that's what we needed. We've mentioned now on the podcast for a few episodes now how Sadio Mane has been so great while Salah has been, struggling a little bit. They've alternated this season. Salah didn't start the season off quite as well, then hit a really hot streak again. Now in a little bit of a rut, but to be able to make the right moves in a very, and I know this has been a big complaint from a lot of Liverpool fans, which is why I bring this up here. The complaint of maybe Salah forcing it a lot to try to get out of his rut. It was a very natural progression that set up the goal. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He didn't have to force anything. The ball was being delivered in, all of that. It was a more natural setup, and I think that's exactly what you just said, exactly what he needed to get that confidence going again. Now, I got to be honest with you. I didn't really mean it when I said on our last episode that I was going to predict that this match would go the exact same way as the Fulham match. I wasn't really serious about it. I would have preferred if it had not gone that way. But it was, eerily similar in a lot of ways. Obviously, many differences, possession stats just, from the get-go, very even split between Liverpool and Tottenham versus the Fulham match, where it was all Liverpool and Tottenham's only real move to the goal happened off of a Liverpool error,
Right.
So all that being said, do you think that this is a good sign in the team's performance that they were able to play this match the way that they did? I mean, you mentioned first half was good, second half was a bit of a struggle at first and then got good. All of that. Just looking at the way the team was playing as a whole and looking down the line. Is this the type of play from Liverpool that you like to see, or are we still not quite where we're supposed to be?
It's definitely closer to where it needs to be, especially coming after an international break. And it didn't seem so labored and forced. It seemed more natural. But that's been the case when we play most of the big teams, especially ones that, even if they knew that they had to sit back and hit on the counter a little bit more, that intend to play. So we're able to do a little bit more that way. So yeah, it definitely looked a lot better. The players were a lot more sharp for the most part, especially in the first half. We seemed more dangerous, even on some of the counters that we had in the second half, where the game was really stretched. They were getting counters because all of our players were in our attacking half. We were getting counters because they would get throw-ins or potentially corners, and we would hit them on the break. And lucky for them, they also have some very good defenders to ward off our kind of odd man rushes. But we were getting odd man rushes, and we were getting closer to actually getting a shot or forcing a shot and missing or forcing a save. Whereas leading up to the international break and against Fulham, especially, we just couldn't complete passes. We looked sloppy. We looked tired. And it was just not fluid, not smooth. And it didn't look good, and it was really annoying. So this match wasn't really annoying. It would have been more annoying, obviously, had we not scored at the end. But there was more signs of hope and more promise going into the home stretch of the season. I have reasons to believe that, especially with people coming back, we're in the right spot that we need to be to see this out and keep the pressure on Manchester City.
It is, oh man, it's so huge having people coming back.
Yeah.
Hitting good form. I mean, we had to survive through a lot. I mean, I don't think we've really fully appreciated how hard the team has fought through having so many injuries in the past, really in 2019 so far. I don't think we've really discussed that enough as a fan base. We certainly haven't on the podcast probably, because we get frustrated or we get nervous about the performances, the draws, when the dropping points, all of that. We kind of tend to forget that a lot of that does come down to we've been missing some guys. We've been missing all of our depth.
We played Henderson at right back against Palace.
Right. Let us never forget this. So, yeah, it's a huge thing there. Hey, speaking of right back, let's talk for a minute about the two left and right back, the two fullbacks, Andy Robertson.
Two wide midfielders, you mean?
Yes, exactly. Funny you word it like that. It's really interesting seeing our fullbacks play better in the role that Tottenham's like wingbacks are supposed to be so good.
Yeah.
Trent and Andy just seemed to dominate the pitch the whole time they were out there, didn't they?
Yeah, they're incredible. They're tireless. I think Andy Robertson, I think I saw the stat, he has more assists right now or in 2019. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's like he has more assists than Eriksen, Hazard, and Kane combined, or some combination of players that you would not expect that play in attacking positions. And this is a very great stat, by the way, that I'm bringing up. He's better than someone at something is essentially what I'm saying. But I'll try to find it and retweet it at YNTA Podcast so you can see it. But his attacking output has been incredible. And the only reason we're not talking about Trent's as well is because Andy's is so good. But Trent's is fantastic. Trent played the ball in for the winning goal. So, you can't overlook that. And I know he's been a little more inconsistent than Andy, but the fact when he plays, we're so much better.
I'm looking at it right now, and he has 9 assists on the season, Andy Robertson. And one of the things that makes this really notable is that he has as many all-time Premier League assists as Mohamed Salah or Jack Wilshere. He has more assists in one season than Cristiano Ronaldo, Xabi Alonso, or Mark Overmars ever achieved in their Premier League careers. None of them ever put up 9 assists in one season. So there's one stat about how great Andy has been so far this year.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, not the particular one you were just quoting, but I'm still doing some looking. outside of the backs themselves who were so incredible, was there anyone else that you noticed that stood out on an individual level?
I mean, obviously, you can't say enough about Virgil van Dijk. You really can't. I
No.
mean, we all saw him save a goal in a 2-on-1 situation. But he's so good that Klopp had the confidence to push everyone into the attacking half and just leave him back there and say, whatever happens, Virgil and Allison can probably stop it. And they were able to, which is just fantastic. So I full credit to him. I mean, he kicked a ball outside of the entire stadium in celebration. That takes some huge leg strength. And I have been continually impressed with the way that he and Matip have been playing together.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing about this performance where we were like, oh, Matip, he's back to old Matip, or this is what we expected out of him. They're so solid now. The goal wasn't their fault. They progressed the ball really well out from the back. They're able to spring our fullbacks forward. So amazing to have them so solid right now. Knock on wood, obviously. And even though Mane didn't score, he still was good. He still came within a whisker of scoring several times. He was really unlucky not to score. So it's great to see him play well and not score. I mean, I would love to have seen him score, but usually when one of them doesn't score, it's because they've been crap.
Right. Not just unlucky.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's amazing. I do think that it's important to note what you were just saying, that, I mean, Matip seems to have kind of found his footing a little bit more in the squad this year. He had struggled just a little bit up until now. I guess this is just his second year with the team, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to remember exactly when he was brought in, but he's kind of finally hit that learning curve a little bit. Obviously, having someone next to you in Virgil van Dijk helps you as a center back, but he's kind of finding his place a little bit more with each appearance, which is I like it. I never hated him as much as some did, but I definitely, I'll still stick by what I said before, that the best thing about Matip is that he's not Lovren, and the best thing about Lovren is that he's not Matip,
Right.
But he's been doing well. And so credit to him, credit to Virgil for building his confidence, for building Matip's confidence to begin with. So, you can't overstate the importance there. Well then,
and now that I remember it, there was one situation for Virgil where Allison hit a really bad goal kick in the first half, and the ball came to Kane, and Virgil just completely shut him down.
Yeah,
and it came to be late because he just does it so often that you forget every time that he does it. I mean, you forget that he hasn't been dribbled past in over a year. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that stat still blows my mind. It still blows my mind. Oh, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Well, one group that we have not talked about much yet is the midfield. Of course, we saw our legendary triumvirate of Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Milner. How about their performance in this particular match? Anything of note out of them?
I would say of all the areas of the pitch for this match, especially in the second half, this was kind of the weak point. We didn't get anything great out of them. We didn't get anything terrible out of them. In the second half, they kind of went missing. That's the only real thing. They were stretched into different areas. They weren't controlling things. They weren't really getting on the ball at all and covering. So they were a bit non-existent in the second half. Things changed a lot when Fabinho came on. Thought that was a smart move. I know there's been a lot of talk, and we can discuss this if you'd like, about Fabinho has to start every match for the rest of the season. I think this match did kind of prove that. He turned the game when he came on.
Oh, yeah.
He became an actual presence in there, and just he's so composed on the ball, and he does so much to help us. But at the same time, had he been starting, who knows if anyone could have had the same impact coming off the bench. And I get why you don't start him. I know Bobby is a freak and can play all the time, but he did travel a lot over the international break. So he probably needed a break, and he's been playing a different position in international duty. So it makes sense why you don't start him, but now I think you have to. every time.
Yeah, for sure. That's the tricky situation because, I mean, my goodness, you want to make sure that you have somebody. I mean, one of our biggest complaints over the years is not having someone a spark plug off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make sure that you have something like that. And that's why we hope. Okay, like hope. Please, fingers crossed. Shaqiri's coming back soon. That sort of thing. That we'll actually see him in the capacity that we got used to seeing him in and appreciated him in. So yeah, once we get more of that bench depth back, then Fabinho's got to be in there. He's got to lock things down. I think you're absolutely right there. Man, I love it. I'm going to throw in one quick note, jumping back over to Andy Robertson's assist totals, because this was a fun little stat. Andy Robertson, with his 9 assists so far, and it's only in March, Paul Scholes' best ever assist tally in the Premier League was 7. All right. So somebody jokingly said, finally the argument over who is better between Scholesy and Andy Robertson can be put to bed. But here's an interesting thing. Over his entire career, Paul only amassed 55 assists.
That's surprising.
Surprisingly low, meaning that he was beaten out in career assist totals by, like, Ashley Young, for example, with 63, Stuart Downing with 59.
Legend.
And I had to do it because of the last episode that we put out. And Peter Crouch, who had 56 Premier League assists over his career.
Hey, he can still get them. He's playing for Burnley.
And he can still get
That is fantastic.
Oh, I love it. I just love it so much. Anyway, just had to throw that one out there as well. So, huge victory, obviously, the 3 points, badly needed for the rest of the season. Oh, gosh. That's not terrifying at all. And we have as we joked earlier, we have our junior varsity team, Southampton, coming up next on the slate, coming up just this Friday, the 5th of April. Wow, it's hard to believe it's already April. We got Southampton coming in. Their recent form, they were able to, sadly enough, beat my Seagulls 1-0. They beat Brighton. Boo. They actually beat Tottenham as well before then. Lost to United. Victory over Fulham, but then again, who hasn't?
We seem to be the only ones that make it difficult.
Yes, exactly. And then a loss at Arsenal before that. So, decent-ish form, 3 wins out of the last 5. Southampton right now, what do we know about them? What kind of team are they at this point in the season as they're sitting there in, 16th place? Yeah, 16th place.
They're in 16th. They're not entirely safe. So this is a little bit of a potential banana peel because they still have to fight for their lives. They've turned things around under Hasenhüttl, in which I learned you have to say it right because if you say it wrong, it translates to something like really mean.
I thought it was going to be one of those things where, like, if you say it wrong, like the old Candyman thing, or it's like you say you summon the Candyman or whatever. If you say it wrong, you summon some sort of spirit that kills you. So,
well, I think his name means like Rabbit Hutch, and if you say it wrong, it's like House of Hatred or something like that, which is amazing. It sounds like a Rammstein song.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's a new show coming to AMC this fall.
It wouldn't surprise me. It could be about Southampton under Mark Hughes because I think there was a lot of hatred there at that time. But they're not that good. They're just a lot more organized now. They're just less stupid and less terrible. But they're not good. So it'll be tougher because it's away and they are fighting for their lives. But we shouldn't have problems with them. I mean, we probably will, but we shouldn't. If we play the way we did for the first half against Spurs, we'll crush them. We'll be up 2-0 pretty early in the first half, like we were last time we played them. So I'm not tremendously worried, but at the same time, I'm terrified because we're in this title race and City play their game in hand tomorrow. So there's all sorts of emotions running through the mind and heart right now.
just chaos. Isn't it? Isn't it that we could honestly score the fourth highest point total in Premier League history and still come in second?
It's just classic Liverpool to
It's
do so
classic.
well, and just for some reason, it's still not be enough.
And still not have it locked down. Oh, it's just unreal. I don't understand it. So, all right, Southampton, Champions League tossed in there as well. Chelsea, Champions League, Cardiff, Huddersfield, all of that leading up to that season finale against a very dangerous looking Wolves. Let me ask you this question. With the Champions League just hanging out right there in the middle of all of this madness, how much do you want to how much effort do you think we really need to put forth in the Champions League versus if we're able to put all of our effort into the Premiership itself? Does that make sense? Like if you had to prioritize it, would you?
Yes, absolutely. I love the Champions League. I know we want the league. I want the Champions League. I want something. It would be amazing for us to win it again and win it a sixth time. So I would love that. And I think with this kind of tight title race we're in, we have to keep the always win mentality always switched on.
Yeah.
There was an interesting discussion today. I think it was on the Football Ramble about players. It was about Stevie G at Rangers, about how he's been very open about he'll just say, it's not good enough. You're not good enough. We're at Rangers. This is a huge club. We have to win. And I think that's the kind of mentality this squad needs out of the competition for the rest of the season, that we are Liverpool. We should be winning no matter what the competition, even if it's the league that we want so desperately. We have to keep, even if it's the Champions League, which some may think the fans don't want as bad, we have to stay switched on and we have to stay focused and we have to get used to winning and we have to expect ourselves to win. Right? There's no reason we shouldn't have a double right now. That should be a totally realistic aim. Even if we want the league more than anything else, we should want the double as much, if not more, than the league. So we're not going to mess around with that, especially considering our potential path to the final. We've got the best draw we could hope for. Mm-hmm. So we've got to go for it, and it'll help us the better we do.
Yeah, for sure. What do we know about Porto at this point in time?
They have kind of adjusted their back line since they brought Pepe in January. They pushed one of their best defenders, who's Real Madrid bound in the summer, Eder Militao, out to the right. So they're a solid team. They've got some players that can cause trouble, like as we saw against Roma. And I mean, they pulled out a late victory today, I think, in their cup semifinal. They just have solid players, and their strikers are athletic and deadly in the box. So we have to be careful with giving them chances. That said, we are a much better team than them. Even if they have the people like Marega and Abubakar and Tiquinho and players like that were missing last year when we played them and trounced them at the Dragao, even if they're there, we should still be fine, especially now that we have Virgil van Dijk, even if we are missing Andy for the first leg. So we can't take it lightly, but there is no reason why we should not beat them handily again.
I'm also noticing that they have a player named Mamadou Ndiaye on their team, which I'm beginning to understand is like Senegalese version of John Smith, apparently. Because I know of at least two different basketball players named Mamadou Ndiaye. It's just insane. One of them being 7.5 feet tall. Anyway, the other being a guy who was at Auburn and was a thorn in everyone's side in the SEC years ago. All right, let's go back to that Southampton match now and talk a little bit more in detail here. As you mentioned, they're a team that has a little bit more life to them as of recently. Again, one of those things that could very well be the whole damage control coach effect, like I was mentioning with old Gunner. That's how we say it down here in the South, old Gunner. But even then, still a team that is in danger of relegation, not really safe yet, all of that. with that, they're going to really need to fight for some sort of result here. Do you think that this is going to play into Liverpool's favor, Southampton, in trying to push the issue a little bit to try to get any level of points at all?
Yes and no. They will have to come out and play a little bit, but when they've been doing well, it's because they've been organized defensively and hit on the counter. And so that's what they're probably going to try to do to us, although I think we have the quality to break them down. This does seem like a match where we rotate in the midfield if we can, because we've got a lot of big games coming up, and we know the three that Klopp likes to play in big matches. So we can fully expect Milner and Gini to play in both Porto games and the Chelsea game. And one of Henderson or Fabinho, preferably Fabinho. But we know that those two of those three are guaranteed to play those 3 games. So surely we've got to give them a break at some point. I mean, Gini played full 90 in both international games. Milner ran around the world, I think, according to his Instagram over the international break. He's got to be tired at some point. We've got people coming back from injury. Let's let them get back into a rhythm. Let's use them. Let's let them be a part of this run-in because they're good players. So let's do that. I mean, there were a lot of rumors before the game, the day before the game, that Keita wasn't going to be in the matchday squad, and he was. So I'm optimistic about that. Hopefully he's fit. Hopefully Shaqiri's fit with his swelling in the inflammation of the pubic region, I think is how the Swiss Federation worded it.
It's just
big old nuts.
I just hate it. I just hate it so much. I just hate that description so much. They couldn't have thought of any better way. I mean, just don't even disclose the, just say it's just kind of a groin injury. Whatever, don't worry about it. Oh my god.
Is there no word for groin in French? Is groin not a French word?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Oh well. We need them to play at some point because even whether you like them or not, those 3 are going to play in those games, so they need a break. Or else they're going to play like they did against Fulham and before the international break, just exhausted. So let's rotate. Let's use our squad as much as we can because that's the one area we have a squad to use.
Right, exactly. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally, we've got a squad here. All right, well, this match, give us a little prediction on it then.
I'm thinking 3-1. I'm thinking we might even concede an early goal just for some weird reason, but then we bounce back immediately and then control the game and dominate for the rest of it. It will be frustrating. It will be tense, but not for very long. I don't feel like they know what the deal is. We own them. We own their club essentially.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, like from a purely like legal financial standpoint, yes, we actually do.
This is an addition for some of their players to come play for us next season. So they're probably going to try to be showing out. Hopefully they make some dumb mistakes. They give us goals.
Yep. Because of that, I'm thinking that this ends up being a 3-0 victory.
Ooh.
I'm thinking this is the one where we say, okay, we had the weird slip up against Fulham, whatever, that's behind us. They shouldn't have had a goal, but they got one, whatever. Tottenham was a good team fighting hard. They got one. Okay, whatever. We still won that. This is our chance to get that clean sheet again. And we're going to try to take advantage. So that's why I'm thinking 3-0.
I like it. I like the confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, I think, we get beaten 10-0 by Porto. And it's just awful. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, I'm thinking of victory, a good, clean victory on Friday. That's my pick.
I guess this is our port cities tour. We're going to Southampton. We're going to Porto.
I mean, we've already played Brighton, right?
Right.
So I mean, won't have that to worry about. I guess that's it. Man, quick weekend trip to the ports. Well, that right there will do it for this episode of You'll Never Talk Alone. If you need a little bit more content from us, though, don't forget we put out a little episode called Let's Talk About the Players We Love just last week, where we broke down a little bit of some of the non-Liverpool related loyalties that we have, or just players that, impacted us as we were getting into the sport, whatever it may be. Go listen to it. It's different. It has a different tone. It's not related to anything about this season, which is nice.
Yeah.
If you need to get away from like the stress of the current Liverpool season, this is the episode for you. What do you know?
I mean, Joseph got a new favorite player during the episode. So
boy, did I won't reveal this player's name, but let's just say I now have their name tattooed on my stomach, Tupac Shakur style, thug life style. So
just say he's the best dribbler ever.
It doesn't look real if you watch his videos, which is what you'll discover because I spent half the episode watching highlight videos. So get over there and check that episode out, and let us know how much you love it or hate it, I guess.
Which players you love? We're always curious.
Absolutely. Tweet at us the players that aren't Liverpool related that you have a good deal of a love for or allegiance to. So love to hear that as well. Alex, thank you for jumping on this episode, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're on the show more often than I am these days. So I don't know why I thanked you for it, but whatever.
Hey, well, that's just because I do nothing.
Oh, all right. But you look good doing it, which is important on a audio podcast.
Yes. Listener, just imagine I look really good doing whatever I'm doing.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to be it for the show.
Sign us off, Andrew.
Oh. That was my Andrew impression. It was pretty good. See you guys next time.